in Germany we have about 70 million inhabitants, about 90,000 electric vehicles and 15,000 charging stations. But 80% of the people who have the electric vehicles have a home charging station. So even if 20% of these guys were to share it, you double the number of home charging stations on the territory, which means more people want electric cars, which is better for the earth, etc. And that solution is already live. We have about 1,000 charging stations already enabled on the blockchain today. So in terms of, as to when, I would say it's today, and it's only growing faster.
So I think it's along the lines of their device, where your device can be a plane, train, automobile, or a network appliance, and being able to track the provenance and history of devices that traverse by nature what they do, a multitude of networks.
Yeah, we are currently working on a use case in the secondary car market. Blockchain is enabling trust, and if I want to sell you my car, then you have to trust me that my car is correct. And the idea behind is that we're using blockchain technology in order to certify the car data. So if you talk about the value of the secondary car market, it's not only the mechanical stuff, but it's also data inside. For instance, the mileage, or if we have an EV car, the state of health of the battery. This digital information gets a value, and we are working on getting a certificate which ensures that the data of the car is correct, and you can trust me that you can buy the car for me.
So I think the key use cases over the next 18 months are going to be use cases that exist today that are solved in a slightly different way and are starting to get constrained by scale. Particularly in the supply chain side, we can do a lot of these things already today. But when you add in blockchain, they become more efficient, they can reduce the cost of doing business, and ultimately that is going to be the start to drive the business case that will then allow people to make the investments necessary to get blockchain in IoT environments.
I'm not sure. If you give me like a good view.
I think the use cases that you'll see are going to be, many of them will be motivated by some sort of financial use case. Some sort of crossover between physical goods and finance will be a big thing.
So the Trusted IoT Alliance that we're putting together, still as of yet unannounced, is relatively unique in that it brings together both enterprises and startups, probably equal in numbers. There are about a dozen enterprises and a dozen startups currently involved. Maybe just say a few words about what attracted your company to become part of such an initiative.
Yeah, sure. It's very straightforward. Every single client we see who's asking for a solution that relates to the sharing economy, whether it's sharing your car or your coffee machine or your apartment, at the very beginning of that conversation starts with how do I identify the object, what is the way, what are the characteristics of an object that makes this object what it is and how it can be represented on the blockchain. So why reinvent the wheel? Instead, let's work together on a common ID format, and then we can build solutions on top of that.
I think for me, what it is given the nascency of the blockchain space and where IoT is at today, I think there's an opportunity and really a real need for broad-scale industry collaboration. As I mentioned earlier, if we can remove buyer's remorse, depending on where you are within the value chain and within the solution stack, we can help reduce or eliminate buyer's remorse, whether you're buying platforms or buying applications that are blockchain IoT oriented. We can deliver that and do it in a way that's in an open source fashion. It helps move the industry along.
Yeah, for us as Bosch, as we are a huge company, we want to bring innovation to get into the market, and we have made an experience that it's more easily to connect with other companies and to evaluate together new technology. And that's great to have this opportunity here to work together with other corporates and startups and evaluate together the benefits and the challenges, of course, also this new technology brings with it, and also solve together the issues with it.
I think from the Gemalto side, innovation is certainly one of the key aspects. Having startups and a startup mentality fusing with long-established companies who have a different view of the world, you get a more rounded really come out of the conversations. It's actually become simplicity. How do you simplify the ability to consume technology, blockchain technology, that will no doubt provide benefit for IoT? And you can only do that by working together. And I think the different views that are coming out when we discuss around the table have been very good to actually push the overall industry conversation forward.
Today there are almost 400 blockchain startups. In all likelihood there will be many, many more. I don't think Joe or Anoop wants to spend every day talking to a new blockchain startup for the rest of their lives. So something like the Trusted IoT Alliance really will simplify the process of figuring out what use cases make sense, what use cases are worth exploring, what startups to work with, and it'll save an enormous amount of capital both from the startup's point of view and from the enterprise point of view in bringing this technology to market.
So, moving to the core blockchain technology side, over the next 24 months, what do members of the Alliance foresee as kind of blockchain solutions on the back end? We have Ethereum, public chain, we have Bitcoin, we have Hyperledger, we have probably 4 or 5 enterprise versions of Ethereum, including Forum, JP Morgan, including Tendermint, Block Apps, E4. Already, we're seeing a proliferation of different blockchain solutions. Which of those chains will concentration of IoT devices, machines, products, identities registered on? Will it be more the public chains or the enterprise permission ledgers? And kind of why?
Right, the answer to that is none, because they don't scale. If you replicate the data on every node of the network, you really quickly realize that you can't have the entire Visa data center inside everyone's homes. It's just not going to happen despite acceleration in Moore's law or whatever. So there are solutions like shardings and so on, but they're a few years away. Every single startup that I'm working with or that I know that is serious about blockchain development today is looking at alternatives like state channels, for example, where ultimately the transactions are reconciled on a blockchain. It doesn't matter which one, but the transactions are done between the objects in a peer-to-peer fashion first, and then reconciled at the end, so you don't end up with 600 transactions because you used your fridge maybe throughout one day of hotel use. So I would say it's going to be a combination of technologies: state channels, blockchain, private chains, public chains, stuff that doesn't exist yet. And ultimately there will be fabrics that unite them together, which eventually will lead to potential scaling of this type of solution. But it won't be tomorrow.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is a journey. I think we are on a dot release of that journey. We haven't actually hit a full general public release yet, whether it's Ethereum-based or Hyperledger-based or the networks that are coming out of it. So it's very early. It's probably not the next version or the version after. It's probably version 7 or 8, where we'll start to see kind of more broad-scale adoption. So I think it's too early to kind of hedge a bet on a particular technology. Frankly, there are too many unknowns at this point. Scalability, performance, reliability, availability. These are things that, from a hardcore engineering FCAPS perspective, are things that are still being discovered and explored.
Yeah, I completely agree. So also for me, it's too early to decide. For me, it's quite important to have concrete use cases. So what is the problem we want to solve with blockchain? And of course, there are several use cases. Then, of course, we have to find out the right solution for this problem. So it's not about saying, okay, we have blockchain business. It's about the use case and problem which we have. And this is my focus on, just to find the concrete problems. It's all going about trust. Then to find out what is the right way to solve it and to see how to scale up and so on.
So I want to disagree because I want to spice things up a little bit. In terms of technology, unfortunately, I agree. So we can't cover that. But one of the questions, or one of the things I'm seeing is whether it's going to be a public blockchain or a private blockchain. And I know from sharing the data on the public blockchain, it's very egalitarian, it's very open, it's a good thing for people to innovate. But what I'm seeing is that many enterprises and many corporate people are turning around and saying, well, actually, no, I need this data to be my data that I can monetize, so that I can actually generate revenue going forward. So you get the benefits of blockchain in terms of the distributed nature and all those things, but ultimately it's going to be about pound, shilling and pence, or dollars and cents. That is going to be, how do I monetize this data, and that has to be on a private network, not on a public network.
So the question is, where do I think this technology is going? I think two things are going to happen. I think the enterprise side of this technology is actually going to be hopefully fairly boring. It's going to be a lot of familiar names. Some of them are on this stage building out the technology stack. I think that there is going to be sort of a Cambrian explosion, a massive amount of innovation and experimentation in the public blockchain world. I think a lot of those innovations will then be consumed by enterprise blockchain applications. But I think that we're in a good place right now for organic adoption and evolution and use case figuring out and solutions discovery side of this technology.
So we have about 5 minutes left. We'd like to throw it open to the audience for questions. Are there questions about blockchain and IoT over here?
I've got kind of two questions. Sorry. I've got two questions that play off a bit of what these two gentlemen have said. So one, I really like the point about you can't scale Visa easily, across everything. So I guess a question that I would put to that is, what other things are misunderstood about blockchain? Because I think that's a common misconception. And I guess the other one, to your point, is you talk about the innovation happening more on the public side. So what are mistakes? What are things that if companies or entities don't move forward, they lose competitive advantage potentially? So if people could respond to either of those.
Yes, so regarding what's misunderstood about blockchain, I'd say number one is that a lot of people seem to think it's some sort of magic bullet that solves everything. It does not. The second most misunderstood thing about blockchain is that it's somehow, it's a get-rich-quick scheme, and just buy bitcoins today and become a billionaire tomorrow. I hear that a lot, and it's completely separate from the technological aspects of the technology that attracted me and a lot of people to the sector. And I find actually that a little bit unfortunate that a lot of the tone of the conversation around blockchain is driven by speculation, financial speculation around the markets, as opposed to being driven by science and technology.
In terms of mistakes that companies can make, I think the biggest mistake that can be made right now is thinking that you are in this alone and that you should internally develop some sort of blockchain research initiative. If you are a company today, you have customers that are already doing things with blockchain. Every one of those customers is looking for counterparties and partners. That is probably the best and most effective place to get started, because the rule book for your industry is going to be written in the software. And you want to get started with figuring out what those rules should be, rather than figuring out how the technology works.
Does anyone else have any questions for Ryan and the forthcoming IoT Alliance team?
Hi, great panel. I'm particularly interested in the opposing views on whether this is something that becomes egalitarian and progressive in nature community, because all I hear is own your data. Data is power. Data is money. Data, and I also see privacy being stripped away. These are big topics being thrown around. which way will it go? Will companies own it? We own it? Just respond.
So I have the mic, so I'm going to say yes on both. For the simple reason that, I mean, we've seen this play out before in open source. Open source is very transparent, everyone can get involved, but people are still making billions of dollars off open source, and you can come up with different business models and different ways of working. Some people will absolutely say proprietary, keep the data, monetize it hard. The other people are saying open it up because you're going to get more innovation, more collaboration on higher order services built on top of that data, and that's what we can get our revenue.
So we're two moms. We're so proud of our kids who didn't go up there.
Yeah, regarding data ownership, just one last word. I used to work in data analytics for large companies that tend to be big brother types. What I like about the idea of having devices that own themselves is that they know a lot about you, but they can store their own data, so the data stays in your home. That doesn't stop them from going and purchasing, say, a washing machine, purchasing detergent based on your washing habits, but that never leaves the home. You just get the detergent at the best price, everybody wins except the data analytics company, but no one will ever miss these guys anyways.
I think what we can do with blockchain in complement with the cloud services is have kind of hybrid models. We have an open platform for identity verification, and then the data is protected. So if I can prove from my Android device that I'm within 10 meters of this particular IoT device, then I can gain access to the data via the fact that I can do a random strings, sign, prove to the blockchain that I'm in proximity of this particular device from this manufacturer. Now I can gain access to the data about the sneaker, or the microwave, or the washing machine, but nobody else who's not in proximity of this device will be able to do so. So I think it's going to be hybrid, and there are some benefits of open, interoperable platform, and some situations where data privacy is going to be paramount. So does that bring us to the end of the time?
I think we're at the end of the time. I'll tell you that I've been in the industry for 35 years, so I'm halfway through my career, and I've been through some of these standardization and things like that, even when it comes to like the bus of PCs many years ago, right? Microchannel versus ISA, etc. And so I'm excited to see the IoT Alliance and the concept come forward. Looking forward to hearing more about that. Can you tell the audience how they might be able to find more information about the IoT Alliance? Are you guys prepared for that yet?
Yeah, there'll be more information posted about three weeks out. We're currently undergoing the legal foundation formation exercise. There'll be a website that's posted. There'll be a lot of press that comes out. We have a meeting at Cisco headquarters on Thursday and Friday, finishing up all of the legal kind of business model details with about 20 companies involved in kind of the core activity of putting the alliance together. There will probably be quite a large board of directors, probably 21 directors, with a smaller operational board of 5 underneath that, and then a small staff of 2 or 3, an open source coordinator, an executive director, and an administrative assistant marketing person. So watch for the website, watch for the press, and if you're interested, follow up with us afterwards. We'll be happy to get you the materials and get you plugged in with what we're working on.
Thank you so much, guys.